It just seems like he is just more determined. He's kind of, the way he's operating in the ring over the last several fights, I mean, it's a joy to watch.
As we end round 3. Well, Josesito Lopez started his career fighting at 1 and be able to find Josesito Lopez. As we get into round number 4, this one is scheduled for 10.
And right there, if you're Lopez, I mean, just continue to pound away at the body. You can see it is slowly starting to take a toll on Santana.
Santana losses to Abel Ramos, Jared Hearn, and that draw with Julian Williams. Josesito Lopez defeated Victor Ortiz at Staples Center, and that pretty much punched his ticket to fight Canelo Alvarez. And incidentally, Joseph Janik was one of the coaches for Josesito Lopez in that fight. That was June 23 of 2012.
And that makes you better as a fighter, Ray. I mean, people kind of, like you said, as the way the sport is heading, where it's almost like a loss. It's better if you don't fight a guy than get a loss and fight the best. And that's like what you said. We're trying not to. We should applaud these guys for even taking these fights and putting themselves out there like that. And, you know, a lot of these guys, some of them get forgotten about. You know, you don't realize that a guy like Josesito Lopez fought Canelo, or he fought Keith Thurman. And even though they're losses, you learn stuff about yourself. You kind of see how you match up against the best of the best.
Well, and they are just really good competitive fights. And that just goes to show you it's not that easy to be fighting at this world-class level, as both Santana and Lopez have found their homes in regards to taking on any and all fighters. They are sort of throwback fighters to what you hear of the 70s and 80s. As we have 70 seconds to go here in the 4th.
And just the way, you know, Lopez has fought over his last couple of fights. I mean, those fights, as you see, he's carried that with him, and it's made him a better fighter, as you've seen in the John Molina fight and now here in the Santana fight, just looking incredibly sharp.
What's interesting about this is Joseph Janik, the coach of Santana, told him, I want you to jab more, whatever, but I think that Santana's thinking a little bit too much. Instead, they need to just let him go and fight. He just landed a nice left hook. The fact that Santana, he's a fighter. He likes to mix it up. I mean, dare I say, fighter, brawler in many instances. He's got to go with what he knows instead of trying to box too much, because I think he's thinking a little bit too much inside that ring.
Yeah, and as you see, he's thinking, he's worried about those body shots from Lopez. He's trying to protect that, but again, I think this is where Lopez wants this fight. He wants to continue to stand on the outside and just continue to pick apart Santana, dig into the body, and eventually continue to roam on the outside.
What started off as a fight, now it's become a calculated boxing match, but I'm sure a fight will break out. The unified super welterweight champion of the world, and here's some of the action from the 5th.
Right here.
That left hook there it was, Miguel, as you pointed out.
Yep, that was right here. Here's the body shot, the left hook, and it didn't even seem to hit him that flush, but it might have been just enough to back up Sanchez. They put themselves on the map.
Well, yeah, they were on the map, but even more so, they solidified their status as being box office stars. Round number 7, this one is scheduled for 10. I'll be honest with you, Miguel, I'm a little surprised that it's turned more into a boxing match with some spurts of combat, but it is the pace in which Lopez is having success.
Yeah, and you know, Ray, I mean, this is why we have to have them fight. I mean, you can look on paper and you can say, oh, this is going to be a war, and you know, this has been a very entertaining fight, but in a different kind of way than what we expected. We were talking, you know, we assumed just by the way these guys have fought throughout their entire careers that this was going to be a knockout, drag-out type of a war. You know, no defense whatsoever, but you're seeing a little bit more, especially on Josesito's end, a smart, calculated approach, and you know, it's paying off for him. I mean, he has looked fantastic tonight against Santana.
Well, he's tactically more refined than that of Francisco Santana. Santana has one gear, come forward, throw punches and bunches. Lopez has different ways to win the fight, and it has paid off here tonight against the veteran in Francisco Santana. he's doing, as you eloquently pointed out. And Lopez, he's changing his levels. He's pumping that jab. A nice left hook that found its destination for Lopez. And referee in charge, Neil Young, warns them about pushing off. But I will have to say that Santana seems to be, it's almost like his mind is thinking to throw punches, but his body isn't reacting at that very second. That could be a sign of the wear and tear from the battles in which he has encountered over the course of his 15-year career. And then he just sprayed Lopez though with the left hook, followed by a right.
That was a good shot by Santana, but you know, as you pointed out, and then when you continue to add on the body shots throughout this fight, and that Lopez has continued to stick to, it wears you down and it slows you up. It takes away your power. It makes you think twice. And as you see, Lopez has, I talked about it earlier, you know, a lot of guys, they'll go to the body early and then they'll stop. Lopez has continued to stay on the body throughout this entire fight.
No question. Left hook that connected Lopez. Looking to unload upon Francisco Santana. There's a nice right hand. Santana languishing on the ropes, and then he retaliates with the left hook of his own. This one is scheduled for 10 thus far. It has been the Josesito Lopez show in what has been the first round was a battle in what we thought two combustible elements, and then since that time period, it has been Josesito Lopez who has taken over with his tactical brilliance.
He's been fantastic. There's a good shot by Santana with the looping left, but Lopez has stayed on the outside, dug into the body, come upstairs, and Santana has just pretty much allowed Lopez to kind of fight his fight.
Well, he isn't throwing with as much frequency as what we thought. Coming into the fight, we thought that Santana was going to throw caution to the wind and try to drive Lopez against the ropes and expect him and force him into fighting an inside fight. And we thought at points, if Lopez would get tagged, he'd be willing to engage in that sort of combat. But that has not been the case because Santana cannot cut off the ring.
And right now, Ray, I mean, you look at, you know, you wouldn't know it by just watching them fight right now, but Lopez is the older fighter, but he's fighting like he's the 2 years younger.
Oh, no question. There's a left hook by Francisco Santana. You brought up a very good point because Lopez is more athletic. He seems to be the fresher of the two. He has more of an ability, and he's the more athletic fighter as well. Santana he's heavy on his feet. He doesn't have much mobility, no head movement pretty much, but he is what he is, and we appreciate his style. But against somebody who is more athletic and who has more boxing skill, that could be problematic, which it has been. 70 seconds to go here in the 8th.
And Lopez has done a tremendous job at continuing to stick that jab out there.
Well, make no mistake, Josesito Lopez knows if he's able to get this win over Francisco Santana, because of the name value that he brings to the table, he will likely be in line for a bigger fight at 147. And there is no shortage of top-level opposition here at 147. Never has been.
No, 1,000%, Ray. I mean, this division, just like the super welterweight division, is absolutely loaded. You know, we got obviously the two of the top contenders. When you talk about ERROL Spence and Danny Garcia coming up later tonight, but then you look, you know, Keith Thurman's still out there. He's looking for a fight. I don't think Keith Thurman wants to see Lopez again. He was able to dispose of him, but after almost getting knocked out in that 7th round more than a year ago, I don't think he wants to see Lopez again. Jamal James is a young contender, rising contender.
Secondary champions like Jamal James, your Dennis Ugas.
Yep.
Final moments of the 8th.
Lopez is a guy that I feel like if you're a top.
So over double the amount of punches landed in favor of the Riverside Rocky.
And as we were talking about how loaded this division is, Ray, I mean, Lopez is a guy that I don't think people are clamoring to fight in this welterweight division. Yes, I mean, you look at guys like Ugas and
Jamal James
and Thurmans, they'll probably be favored against a guy like Lopez, but Lopez is going to make you earn every single round. And I don't know you know, a lot of guys in this division want to put themselves in line for that.
Well, the thing is Lopez, especially over the course of these last few fights, is demonstrating that he could do more than one thing, and he's not just a brawler. He's showing that he could box. He's showing that he can mix it up at times. He's showing a strong chin. So he's showing these different wrinkles to his game that he brings to the table on a daily basis.
At 36 years old at that.
He's almost refined like a fine wine. He's getting better with age. Over a minute has come off the clock here in the 9th round. If you're Francisco Santana, though, you are in desperation mode at this juncture. And there's a big right hand that snapped back the head of Josesito Lopez, certainly catching his attention.
And right now you're at the point, if you're Lopez, I mean, you got to be careful. You've done everything correctly so far in this round. But as we saw in round 1, Santana still possesses that power that could potentially put you on the mat. And you do not want to do anything that's going to jeopardize what you have done so far through 9 rounds.
Well, especially if you're Josesito Lopez, you've pretty much fought as good of a fight as you could have anticipated, with the exception of getting clipped by that brutal right hand that did not put him down. A little bit, there's some swelling underneath the eyes of Josesito Lopez, but when you're going up against a heavy-handed fighter like Francisco Santana, that's to be expected. Under a minute to go here in the 9th.
Another good straight right by Lopez.
Lopez is just so much sharper, and now he has Santana hurt. He's driving Santana against the ropes, and now he is really pounding away upon Francisco Santana. And down goes Santana for the 2nd time in the fight.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Santana might be too brave for his own good. Josesito Lopez looking for a stoppage. Final moments of the 9th. Will Santana survive?
Lopez was looking for the one-shot knockout there.
Pounding away upon him, and that ends the 9th. Let's take a look at the end of the 9th round.
Right
there with that right on the jaw.
That was picture perfect shot by Lopez. If there was any more
can Josesito Lopez, there's a big right hand that found its mark against Santana. Heavy right hand. Oh, look at this, and this one is over as Josesito Lopez has stopped Francisco Santana. That was a clinical dissection by the Riverside Rocky over Francisco Santana.
Sometimes, Ray, fighters, they just almost too prideful.
They're too brave for their own good.
Exactly, and I think that's exactly the situation that Santana. He's a guy that's just not going to quit no matter the circumstances. But the writing was on the wall, especially from that middle of the 9th round on.
The body language from Francisco Santana, 3 knockdowns. But in the 9th round, let's take a look here at how the fight ended. Boom, that right hand on the temple. Again, just target practice. And Neil Young jumped in and waved it off.
And you can almost see the look in the eyes of Santana after the 2nd knockdown, Ray.
The body language.
Yeah, his eyes were just kind of glossed over a little bit. It didn't seem like he was all there. Granted, of course, he's going to say yes, that he wants to continue on, but it was pretty much over after that 2nd knockdown.
One for Josesito Lopez. That is his 2nd straight win over somebody who was supposed to push him, who was supposed to be a brawler, and instead, Josesito Lopez brawled.